Make sure the pivot table sheet is active, that the active cell is located anywhere inside the pivot table, and that the pivot table fields list is visible. Now click the category checkbox in the fields list. The category data is added to the rows area below the corresponding branch data. As you learned earlier, you can move fields within an area of a pivot table by dragging and dropping them to the desired location. In the diagram section of the field list, locate the rows area, then drag the category field up and drop it above the branch field. The category field is now the outer or upper field, and the branch field is the inner or lower field. The pivot table is reconstructed to display the sales data by the category values and then the branch values within the category field. The subtotals now reflect the sum of the categories, as shown. You can also move fields to the new areas in the pivot table. In the diagram area of the fields list, drag the category field from the rows area to anywhere in the columns area. And then drag the product ID field from the columns area to the rows below the branch field. The pivot table now displays the sales data with the category values in the columns and then the product IDs grouped by branches in the rows. The product ID values are indented below the branches because the product ID field is the inner row label. In the diagram area of the field list, drag the category field from the columns area to the filters area. Above the quarter field, and then drag the product ID field from the rows area to the columns area. The pivot table now has two reported filters. The upper report filter category summarizes data using all of the categories. Kate asks you to display the tour sales information for all quarters. Now click the category list arrow in the cell B1 of the pivot table and then click tour and then click OK. Click the quarter list filter list arrow in the cell B2 and then click all and then click OK. The pivot table displays sales totals for the tour category for all quarters. Kate asks you now to provide the sales information for all categories. Now click the category filter arrow, click all, and then click OK. The completed pivot table now appears. Save the workbook, change the page orientation of the pivot table sheet to landscape, and then preview the pivot table.